Welcome to the round two of the Tuesday Night Heffron Pointscore series for 2025. It's fantastic to be here after another glorious week of racing. We've got Don Juan, the Romeo himself, Mr. John Sunde. Good evening, John.
Hola.
And a man who is doing so much for charity. He's off this weekend on another huge ride, which he'll be telling us about later in the show for the oh my gosh, I feel terrible. Mental Wheels Health Foundation. I think I've got it wrong, but Vaughn will tell us all about it. He was on the hill. I think he was on the mic. He was doing it all on Tuesday. Welcome, Vaughn, and thank you for taking time out of your packing schedule to join us here for this week round two review, which saw Scotty Law, I think, rather surprisingly get the win on Tuesday night. He'll probably be a little offended we say surprisingly, but we probably didn't pick him early on as the rider to win as an overall.
Uh, uh, there's quite a few people that will vouch for this. I said right even before he was doing his weird calisthenics warm up. I said right from
He
the
can throw
get-go,
a leg, can't he?
straight up, I said no one is going to beat Scott Law tonight. He looked
Wow.
so in the zone when he was warming up. I was like, he is just on fire. And I don't know why. I don't know what it was, but he just sort of had that little glint in his eye where I was like, this guy is unbeatable tonight. Said it over the microphone. Was doubting myself for the rest of the race. But hey, I have some amazing numbers to share on that sprint a bit later on too.
John, were
There was
you
a
thinking it was a night for Scotty Law?
Well, I thought it was a night for two or three possibilities because Kurt Ether wasn't there. Kurt obviously had racing commitments elsewhere. His brother Dylan was racing, so it was an open opportunity for Jack maybe to pick up 7 points. Possibility for Brad Mills to go one better than he did the fortnight before and pick up some points, or Scotty Law or Tom Bolton. But Scotty Law, and there was a little bit of mayhem, unfortunately, with two
Mm.
laps to go, which I think even further played into his hand. But still, nonetheless, pushed all the way by Olli. Great ride by Olli too, because Olli had a huge weekend. Had a win under his belt. I think it was up at was it West
West,
Head on
Up at West
Sunday?
Head, yep. Beat
Yeah.
Chris Miller.
So yeah, Olli was coming in hot. He was coming in super hot. But Scotty Law all the way. So well done, Scotty.
I wonder if this is the week you will mark down as the week that he won the point score series.
Mm.
Because look, we're going kind of straight into it there now, but he's now 5 points clear of second place Kurt Ether. He's now 7 points clear of Jack Bennett, the reigning champion, going for his sixth overall or seventh overall. He's already won six or he's already won five. But, the way that the weather and various things play a piece,
Everything played into his hands.
everything played into Scotty Law's hands. And that may be just enough points that when Jack only scored the third, that I'm calling it, it could be a
It could be
very
a good call.
decisive
Mm.
round victory for
Yeah.
Mr. Scott
Yeah.
Law
I can tell you one
Calisthenics.
thing: he's not going to give up that 5 point advantage easily.
Because he's
We only
obviously
have
in
to.
some seriously good form.
Yeah. Well, I was, as Vaughan said, he picked him when he was doing his calisthenics. I tell you, I don't know how he gets his leg so high when he does that. But damn, he looks good.
You know how he obviously knows how to throw his leg over a bike.
Ah, but let's talk about it. I think his last two laps were a masterclass of riding with no teammates because, let's talk before the crash when the ZCC boys were there, the Gutter Rats boys were there, and there was a fair bit of argy bargy before the incident. But you watched Scotty Law come through. I think it was, and correct me if I'm wrong, John, but I think it was like with 3 laps to go, he was on the front, and then he came around for 2 laps to go, and he was on the front again. But he very quickly pulled up. He looked around to see which wheel he wanted to get on, and he went back about 6 wheels, and he just glided back into exactly where he wanted to sit so perfectly. And I just thought that right then, that was like with coming around with a lap to go. I went, there's no. already said it earlier on. I thought he's got this. He's so
It's
smart.
a very, very smart ride from Scotty, and well spotted too, Vaughn, riding on his own. Three or four Gutterats riders in the mix there. Olli, Millsy, Tommy Bolton, Toby was still in there at that point, and then ZCC with Jack, Phil, Bonbon. Bonbon was also, and Jack and Scotty were all active. They were in the right. They were in the right place, weren't they? At 2 to go when they stayed out of trouble. And there was only, I think it was 10 or 12 that then were in the mix for the last lap sprint. And Scotty just read that perfectly, didn't he?
Yeah,
And launched.
absolutely.
So well done. We might see a double win from Scotty Law in the 2025 Sydney City Skoda Summer Series. Watch this space.
Now, I never like to dwell on it, though, but I think, unfortunately, Brad Mills was obviously a victim of misfortune on the night with that 2 to go. Dan Newman, I think, was the most
Dan Newman most
unfortunate.
probably, unfortunate fall. I'm sure everyone's heard about it.
It was 5 or 6 wide. They've all come down.
It's just, it was really, it was a wheel clip or a pedal clip, and someone moved off their line. It was just at the moment that A grade were catching B grade, going on the inside through the U-turn before the straight. Movement, someone fell on someone, and then 2 or 3 came down. Ryan O'Keefe was down with skin. Brad Mills was down. Chops, Andrew Herman was down with skin, and unfortunately Dan Newman had clavicle shoulder blade issues. He was being assessed today in hospital, so hopefully he makes a quick and speedy recovery.
Yeah, there was a lot of chatter, obviously, about what went down with that last 2 laps. Some of the insight that I got after reaching out to quite a few of the riders was, as like A grade sort of, we predicted that they would catch on the 3rd lap. But they probably could have caught on the 4th lap. They sort of hung back for that lap.
Yeah, they did, didn't they?
Yeah, they just hung back that little bit. And so where they ended up catching was not great. What you did see happening is the Hydroplay lads, including Scotty Hardy, who wasn't in his kit, but were leading the B grade group, still trying to keep the pace up. Jack had come through with Millsy on his wheel, with Bolton on his wheel, and Dan on his wheel. And Dusty, Robbie Allen, just sort of let Jack in onto Bonbon's wheel. That sort of put Millsy out of position. Apparently there were some words said with it just coming in towards the second pimple. And then, of course, what that meant is that Millsy, Bolton and Dan had to, or tried to push through up on the inside into the hairpin. And it was those 3 guys were just going too fast to that corner. There's a lot of dirt on that inside, as you said the other morning, John, and there's just wasn't enough traction, and people were down everywhere, and it was a pretty nasty incident.
Yeah. So notwithstanding all that, shout out, reaching out to those guys that are suffering a bit of skin loss. It did have an impact on the final and the last lap. About 12 got up the road, but just before that happened, I was down in that corner just getting my video for everyone for the numbers. And who comes through the netball court corner first? Liam Goldman on an absolute flyer. And I'm thinking, can he hold this foot with 2 to go? And I think Liam's got a point to prove. And I think he actually proved it on Tuesday night. I don't know who's talking in Liam's ear, but in my book, he's ready for A grade. He showed it, because when he got caught by the front A grade markers, he managed to stay with them that front 12 quite easily, and impressive win by him in B grade.
Where was he over the line, John? I've only got race grade
results. I think over the line, top 10. Well, there was only a group of 12 that came to the line, and he was well spotted in that group.
Well done, Liam Golden. That is, to go off early there. But I think kind of going back and looking at how all the grades rode the night, C grade probably had the biggest turnout of riders rolling and working along there. I think they end up having 16 of 27 finished. Didn't get caught until was it 3 or 4 to go? I think
three to go when B grade caught
were
them.
there murmurs on the sideline? This could be their night of staying away.
Well, I don't know about you, Vaughn, but the Orange Flash seemed to be making a big impact in C grade.
Absolutely. And to be honest, Crafty was calling it all night. He thought C grade were going to be the last to be caught and be caught on the last lap. I had a feeling that B grade were going to, keep the pressure on, and they did. But yeah, like it definitely looked very, very good. And of course, Lukey Cromer, who I'm now calling zero hero turn Cromer, because he's gone from pre-Christmas, massive hero turns up the straight, pulling like an absolute mad dog, to hiding, and then coming up with the big win.
Oh, look, I think to fair Luke, I think he did a bit of work on Tuesday night, and he'll be angry if we suggest otherwise.
No,
so I think,
Luke has really gone up a notch in the last few weeks. I asked him what his secret was on Tuesday night, and he reckons it was all the walking he did with his girlfriend over Christmas. But I don't get that.
Well, I'll have to make sure they break up tonight on Valentine's, so therefore his form can drop off, and maybe I can make it a few more places up on the podium. So, Leah, let's hope he forgets to buy roses or book a restaurant tonight, because he's probably thinking that, he's focusing on Heffron. He hasn't thought about a restaurant booking. We're all going to be winners in future weeks. But I think B grade played an interesting tactical, because while C grade were working quite smoothly, they looked like they were going to make the catch, and then they almost held off for a lap and kind of drifted a little there, waited, but then they made the grab through. And look, in the end, 19 of 36 B graders made it through. Have they lost a little bit of their cohesion, though, I think, that they had earlier in the season? Like, what are you guys thinking?
I thought they still look pretty solid. I mean, the driving force in that B grade bunch is undoubtedly the Centennial Park guys.
Yeah.
And you mentioned them earlier, Vaughn, Scotty Harding, first race in Heffron.
Yeah.
And I thought he did really well.
Well, you'll see, we had a bit of a plan with the Hydra players, and obviously he's on our little Hydra play chat, even though he's not in our kit. But the guys were like, we'll drive it. We'll put 2 or 3 of our guys with the Centennial Park guys, because we knew that they would be really strong, as they were every week. Chops and Hyde were the guys hiding at the back and waiting for the end of the bike race to come to the front towards the end of the bike race. I think that was their plan. I'm sure they'll tell me if it wasn't, but I think that plan was actually really well executed by those guys. But what did happen, and I think what you noticed, Alexi, was at about that lap 3, you get that point where B grade were looking over their shoulder and they're seeing A grade coming down the second pimple, and the power went off a little bit. But there's a great photo of Scotty Harding leading through Robbie and Big Ads, and you can see that the power's back on. And so they did have a bit of a lull, because I think some of the Centennial guys like, oh God, we're going to get caught. We better just, take a breather and suck a few big breaths in. But then, Big Ads and Robbie and Scotty Harding looking great on the bike, I might add.
However, despite all their work, I think when you look through the top 5, there's only one Centennial Park rider in that mix there.
Yeah, Tom Hyde got 4th.
But Hugo Quattart,
Yeah.
the silent assassin Hugo, just sneaking into the placings last week, backs it up with 2nd this week. And the other dark horse is newcomer back to racing last week, Scotty Carver.
Yeah,
I was going to say he must be making a bit of a return.
If you were keeping an eye on the weekend results, was down at Heffron again on Saturday in Ramwick's club race, and was on the top set for B grade. So no surprise to see Scotty Carver in 3rd, and then Tom Hyde 4th, and Josh Dunford, another good ride by him, in 5th. But
Josh Dunford, he was the guy in the lime green. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, he rode well.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, before we jump to obviously the big, decisions of the week, these are the riders who probably won't be in contention for Chargrill Charlies, but rode very well. Also, was that Adrian Pellegrin finished 6th in A grade?
Yes, he just out of the top 5 once again. But he rode smart. He was in the right part of the bunch, when mayhem set in. And the other thing I noticed was Riyadh. I mean, Riyadh is a machine. 5th overall. No, was he 5th? Yeah, 5th overall. Yes. So with 2 to go, he was caught up behind the fall, but has somehow managed to claw his way back to the front and still cross the line 5th overall. So pretty impressive. But the big fight for the night was part of it was in C grade because Luke Kramer, like I said, he won that. But like right on his heels, Pongsak. Jesus, I tell you what,
Pongsak, mate.
Pongsak. And then I
It was
congratulated.
his new kit. He had a bit of a different kit on.
Oh, did he?
I think the national team have sent him a new kit.
Ah, that's what they heard the message.
Yes.
About the national holiday. They couldn't pull the national holiday. They sent him a new national kit.
That's right.
I was talking to Anthony Challoner,
who finished third on the night.
Who finished third, and he said that Pongsak not chopped him in a line, but just came from nowhere and rolled him on the line. He hadn't seen him, he reckons, in the 15 laps previously. But Pongsak, he knows what he's doing.
And then when you're talking about the riders who also then surprised you, Morgs. Jason Morgan was fifth.
Oh, Morgs, yeah.
That's got to be one of his top results in quite some time.
Well, it is. Because Morgs usually, he loves racing, loves riding his bike. And of course, he had quite a busy January down at the 2 Down Under on Shimano spares duties. And then comes back for his first race of the year. And he was right up there, fifth overall. But he must be getting very enthusiastic because he's about to go in for the ankle chop, unfortunately. I'm not sure when, but I know it's coming up soon. So obviously trying to, ride as hard and strong as possible. But like I said before, the fight for the night was the battle between the women's in the women's race, the two Nicoles. Did anyone see that sprint?
Oh, yes.
I think we've got the photo. That's right. We've got the photo, which we'll put up. But that's right, Nicole and Nicole Wilson, to the death.
Yeah.
I think if they had knives on the night, they would have gone a bit closer in the bunch there and just slowly just give each other a quick little jab there to get him pretty deadly.
It certainly was on like deep fried corn, that's for sure. And another massive scream out to Lucy Allen. Like her
I was just about to say that.
Holy dooly, what a great performance by her. But the best story, actually, one of my favourite stories of the whole night was Big Ads McCoy came over and said she got caught up behind the crash, but then got back on her bike, and then she was just Pat Malone in no man's land. And she had the little head down going absolutely full gas. And then a group of about 5 B graders were he said, we were motoring down on her. And he said, and I just yelled out to her, Luce, stay right. And she looked over the shoulder and he said, put in a little sprint and tried to get on the wheel. And he said, like, such an impressive ride by such a young girl and having a crack on Tuesday Night Heffron. It was awesome.
Yeah, she'll only be getting much stronger as a result. And so speaking of strength, the Chargrill Charlies Rider.
This is it. This is the moment.
This is the moment. This is what the riders are playing for. Oh, I don't know. It was, so let's have a look. We had 27 starters in C, of which 16 are now in contention. 36 starters in B, 19 are in contention, being that they finished and crossed the line. And then you had 22 starters in A grade, 13 of them made it to the finishing line, and so therefore are in contention for the Chargrill Charlies Rider of the Week. We normally start with John. I'm going to go Vaughn this week. Vaughn.
All right. Well, I mean, I can't go past it only because he sent me a message straight after the race saying they're the biggest numbers I've seen in about 10 years. And that is Scotty Law. He had down the straight, he averaged 1,012 watts.
Ooh.
Now, he opened the sprint. Everyone saw it. He was the first into the straight. They came at him. Then he got off the seat and went for it. And then he held it. I'm sorry. That is, at an absolute epic amount of watts.
Who's his coach?
Himself, I guess. Apparently, he's got some hot sauce. I think he actually puts it under his chamois, John.
Is that what it is?
John?
That's a good pick. My rider of the week is Liam Goltman. Very aggressive. Like I said earlier, trying to prove a point. And I think he proved it. Well, I know he proved it on Tuesday night because that was unexpected. I thought Liam's ride, impressed with Scotty's ride, impressed with Scotty's finish. But, like we said last week, to some degree, a little bit expected. So, Liam, you got my vote for the week.
Good call. Over to you, Alexi.
I will give a strongly commended drumstick to Riyadh for his fifth place. I think
Any chicken
that's
wings?
yeah, he gets a little chicken wing because I think that such a progression is very well rewarded. I think the second chicken wing on the rooster, or it'd have to be well, rooster or chicken, whatever it may be, would be Scotty Law actually, because that very fancy. He's in top form. He's looking good. And then I would also give another chicken wing, or maybe he only gets now the chips or something, to Jason Morgan. I think that is a fantastic ride to
Yeah,
get fifth.
yeah,
Collins and Gareth Collins as well, fourth at Randwick. He did a fair amount of work, as did Challinor. But I'm with you. I think Liam Goldman's ride, it was one of those things where he probably could have, he didn't have to go when he did, and he
not
probably
at
could
all.
have and gone, look, I'm going to sit in and see win B grade and maybe see if I can
He's
mix
got
up.
a
But
good finish on him.
he went quick. He was out there for a long time, but also then actually had something in the gas in the tank
Yeah, he
to then
certainly
hold
did.
it and go. Because look, I'll try and compare it to what I do. And I went after to chase after two guys who were off the front of C. I did about 100 meters, and then I was done. Like I went from the front to try, and I didn't even get close to them. But I kind of picked up I went an extra 2 kilometers an hour faster than the rest of the bunch. Did about 100 meters, and then I was gassed. I went right to the back of the bunch, like I was gone. And so the fact that he was able to go, yep, and keep going, fantastic. And so Liam Goldman, you are
Well
for
done, Liam.
me the
Well
Chargrill
done.
Charlies. And with
Well
that, two of
deserved.
three, Liam Goldman is the rider of the week. And it shows not only the panache to have a crack off the front, but he had the
That's right. It's
guts,
all about the
he had the
panache.
ability, and then he was able to back it up and still finish as high as he did, win B grade, be in the contention for the overall, do a social media attack. What more can you ask for? That's the
Pretty
kind of
impressive.
rider of the week.
Mm.
And that, I suppose, then leads us onto the podiums for the week. So overall, we had first place Scott Law, second place Oliver Penney, and third place Jack Bennett. B
Yes, that's
grade, first place Liam Galtman, second place Hugo Cocard, and third place Scotty Carver. C grade, Luke Cromer was in first ahead of Corn Ponsac Serajon. Third, Anthony Challinor. And then in the women's race, we had first place Nicole O, second place Nicole Wilson, and third place Lucy Allen.
well done to everybody.
Well done to
Absolutely.
everyone who was on that podium, which then, of course, now we're in the Pointscore, switch new pages. I've also, and I'm not looking pale because I've got no points. I think it's obviously the light here. I look like I'm in the Twilight series. I've been going for that Edward guy's complete lack of blood flow. Um, Scotty Law now leads
Yeah.
the series on 12 points. Kurt Ether is
Unbeatable.
second on 7. Jack Bennett on 5, along with Ollie Penney on 5. Maybe he's a bit of a silent assassin, Ollie Penney. He can
Yeah,
also
could
be
be.
looking. Brad Mills on 3, Chris Miller on 2, Tom Bolton on 1, and Riyadh on 1. B grade is led by Luke Schofield, who is equal with Liam Goldman
Well,
on
they're
3
equal because
points.
they've both won one each. Yeah.
Riyadh is on 2. He'll obviously. And Hugo's on 2. Lucas Zaccardi's on 1. Scott Carver is on 1. B grade led by Scott Law, Kurt Ether, then Ollie Penney. C grades led by Fongsack.
So
Second
he
is
got
Luke
the double
Cromer.
points. He got points from the first week,
Yep.
first round, and then points in the second round.
And Luke Cromer pays the price of, obviously, the last week wasn't a point score. So when he got on the points, won his first race, didn't give him any points. Foolish behavior. Kira Will and Nicole O equal first in the women's, with Emma Jeffcoat and Nicole Wilson on a point behind, and Lucy Allen on 1 point behind them. So 2 points deciding first and third, I suppose it is, in the women's race.
All to play for.
A lot to play for, across which, when I suddenly look back at these results, do you know the one thing I don't see is Luca Zaccardi is not on the podium.
Oh my God. I thought that too, because he got caught up in the fall.
Unbelievable.
That's the first time.
Wow.
This is the first time. I mean, the family must be mourning.
Mate, there's no flowers in the house. There's no roses. No roses this week. He's going to be hungry. I mean, All it took was a crash to slow him down. I mean,
He'll
so
most probably
look,
come win the thing outright next week. Luca will be
exactly.
back.
I
Would
mean,
be
yeah, he
writing
just
him off.
held up, so that's good news. But yeah, what a surprise! It's almost the Chargrill Charlies non-event of the week is Lucas Accardi not being on the podium. Uh,
Yeah, classic.
so I
Last
suppose
lap.
last lap, and that I therefore will throw to Vaughn, who is doing some wonderful things this weekend, and something that I know touches a lot of us here at the Tuesday Night Heffron podcast. So Vaughn, what are you up to this weekend? Who are you representing? What's it all about?
Well, mate, I'm heading off for a little bike ride down to Hobart. We leave tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. First bid is from basically from our place, our little home, Heffron Park, down to Milton Hotel, 235 clicks. And then every day I ride between 100, I think I average 178 Ks a day, all the way down to Melbourne, cross on the boat to Devonport and down to Hobart. I'm riding for the Mental Wheels Foundation. It's 1,700 kilometres and just over 17,000 metres of climbing. And we're raising money for mental health research and programs through mindspot.org.au and the Map app, which is something that we've developed, which I'll be doing basically mental health workshops all the way down the coast and giving free access to the world's best mental health practices and mental health programs that you can get your hands on.
That's awesome, Vaughn.
Are
Thanks,
you doing
mate.
it by yourself, or is there other riders with you?
Day one, I got a group of mad lads and ladettes coming with me down to Milton, and we're having a lunch. But then the rest of it is completely solo. I've full bike packing adventure.
And is
Wow.
it all on road or off road?
Pretty
Vaughn?
much all on road. I've got a few gravel. I've gone and found some good little bits of
Yeah.
gravel roads as well, but mostly, yeah, following the coast down, going through Mallacoota, Marloo, Bairnsdale, Port Welchpool, Phillip Island. Yeah, right all the way through, and then yeah, visiting all those local communities and doing some mental health workshops. You can visit the website. It's ridetowardresilience.raislysite.com.
Excellent.
Fantastic.
And is there
Good
a
luck.
donation page that we can post?
Yeah, so if you go to that website, and hopefully we can just whack it up on the screen. There's big donation button at the top there, and 100% of every single dollar, every single cent is going towards the programs and the research. All of my expenses I've paid for myself, and a bid to try and raise as much money as we possibly can. As most of us, or the awareness of suicide and depression, anxiety, and ADHD in this country is pretty well known. But we've got the highest rates of suicide anywhere in the world. We've got 9.8% of Australians on pharmaceutical drugs for depression, which is also the highest in the world. And so this is a bid to try and change that tide in the other direction.
Oh, well done. Hats off to you, Vaughn. That's quite a goal, and for an incredible cause too, because we've all been touched at some point in our lives by someone somewhere. It's
Absolutely.
like you
That's
said, a very
like
real
doing
thing for a
on
lot
your
of
own
people.
as well. Wow. It's
Yeah, thanks,
phenomenal.
lads. The
That's gonna
worst
help a
thing
lot of
is,
mental
what
strength.
is the worst thing? The worst thing next Tuesday. What am I going to do? I'm going to be like
You're going to
puffing and
phone in.
panting up here. I'm going to have to.
Can you phone in from wherever you are?
I will 100% phone in. I'll need to find out what's going on. I'll be trying to get like Angus or or Crafty to let me know what's going on mid race.
Which then
Excellent.
is the other concern that we have next Tuesday night is no Richard Scriven.
Oh,
He's
It's all
taking a
right.
holiday.
We've got. I just want to mention two other photographers have been on hand. Parike, he's been down there posting his photos, and also Greg McCarthy. He got a great album that I just posted yesterday on the Facebook page. So we'll still. It'll happen. We'll still have images. Thank God
What a
for that.
relief. Because
Yes.
unfortunately for Rich, he's off to Cambodia, I think, to have a bit of a holiday, get some sun. But
We another just a special mention of Richard, and I hope you can post this photo, Alexi. 21 years married today. He had a very pretty, gorgeous little wedding anniversary photo from 21 years ago. I was wondering who the guy was that Victoria was with, and of course it was Richard. So congratulations,
absolutely,
guys.
because I mean, not only does he do amazing photos for us, I mean, the man seems to just travel Australia following bike races and taking photos, whether it be the Pro Velo League or the Tour Down Under. He does a wonderful job, and I know we all enjoy
It
it.
certainly does.
The,
We'd be lost without him.
every week there's amazing photos. We even had the drone up, but unfortunately we forgot to empty the storage memory card. So
Just
it was just flying around, floating it. But all of that, a lot of the videos, the stills, the drone,
Content,
it's all Richard.
Yeah.
He loves it, and he does an amazing job for us. So I think
He's
we'll give him the week off.
Yeah, he's absolutely amazing, especially for the second best photographer in his family.
Mm. Ooh. Other big news? Anything else kind of floating around? I can't think of. Entries are obviously open for next week.
Yeah, round 3's open next Tuesday night. Weather is looking good at this stage, so fingers crossed it stays that way. Get your entries in, everybody. Don't wait to the last minute. That's you, especially, Edwin. You'll find some time. But on that note, as we say at Heffron,
see you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday.